Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Mike.
And today, we're here to talk to you about the fact that it's not Valentine's Day.
Nope. Totally not.
Nope. In fact, I would even encourage you to go so far as to stop celebrating Valentine's Day. At this point, it is just an overplayed Hallmark holiday. And while it is definitely a good thing for people to make a showcase of their feelings towards their special someone, what does it really say if the only reason you're doing it today is because everybody else is going to give you a hard time if you don't?
I'm going to come out with a slightly different opinion. The one person's opinion you care about is your significant other. And so if they're expecting you to do something for Valentine's Day, even though all of Nate's arguments are valid, don't irk them by taking a principled stand today.
No.
Work up for it for next year.
That's fair. In fact, my preferred method is to pick another day and make that your day.
Which is why we will be celebrating American Pie Day, which was the anniversary of our first date.
That's correct.
It has a built-in gift. Pies.
And the only reason we call it American Pie Day is because in America, Pie Day is a different day of the year than it is in Europe.
Well, because we do month, day, year, and they do day, month, year.
That's right.
So
they don't have a 3/14.
Yeah. They have 14/3.
Right.
But
Yeah.
They don't have 14.
Yeah, but there aren't 14 months, so they just don't have Pi Day.
No, they have it on
July 22nd.
Because it's
720 seconds is 3.14.
Ish.
Right.
Ish.
Nice.
It doesn't continue forever like pi.
Yeah, nice.
Unless you're doing something super precise, it's
I like
close
it.
enough.
So, but in the church's mind, today is the feast of Saints Cyril and Methodius. Who the heck are Cyril and Methodius?
Well, for starters, they were both monks who then became priests and in at least one case, a bishop.
Mm-hmm.
So actually they were Constantine and Michael, but they changed their names when they became monks.
Weren't they also brothers?
Yes, they were brothers.
I think it's pretty much standard operating procedure in the when you become a monk that you get a new name, right? Certainly in the East.
I don't know, because from what I've read, Saint Cyril became Cyril like much later on than you would think, even though he's the one everyone knows.
Yeah. He's the one who's got the alphabet named after him.
Yeah.
Yes, because they are most known for creating an alphabet, not the Cyrillic alphabet.
No, but Cyrillic.
Yeah, no.
No?
He invented the
Let me do this one for you because
yeah.
I can already see where this is going. The glagolitic script.
Oh, of course. It just rolls off the tongue.
Right.
Exactly.
Glagolitic.
Which
I've never heard of that.
no, because
I'd remember a word that awkward.
yes, because his students and people who studied under him and stuff went in, changed it, and invented the Cyrillic alphabet from it.
And then named it after him.
Yes.
That makes sense because a saint really doesn't name things after himself. That's not.
This is my alphabet.
That's pride.
That's not very.
Anyway, so the two brothers were born in what is now modern-day Greece. Cyril was about 827, 828. The records weren't that great back then.
Mm-hmm.
And his brother was somewhere between 815 and 820. And, of
That
course,
was one really long childbirth.
I think it's simply the fact that they were thought to be like 2 out of, I think, 7 or 8 children. So, you know how it is. The first one you pay all the attention to. By the time you got to the, a few ones down, they're like, I don't know, he's 2, 3, whatever.
He was born, a couple springs ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially when you didn't, keep track of dates as well as we do.
Is this his second Christmas or his fourth? I don't remember.
Anyway, and then, of course, it's their feast day today because Cyril died today in 869. And his brother died in April of 885.
Wow.
I guess getting named first really gets all the
Born
credit.
earlier, died later.
Good long life for Methodius.
Yes, he did a lot of stuff.
He was methodical about it.
Mm-hmm. The reason why they invented a script that was not Cyrillic, but was a one that came before it, was they were asked to be missionaries to various Slavic peoples.
Which is good, because the good news is for everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
They started out together being missionaries for a group called the Khazars,
Oh, yes.
which is apparently they're a tribe that was what is now part of northern Turkey, and they were spread out in Eastern European countries.
Mm-hmm.
And they also did missionary work to Movaria. And then after the death of Cyrillic, Cyril, his brother also went to Bohemia in what we now call Poland.
Which makes sense. Mm-hmm. You know, these are all areas that were always outside of the Roman Empire, and so the church, was still expanding there in the 800s, battling against paganism and whatnot.
Yes. In fact, they're noted as possibly being the people who wrote the first Slavic civil code as well.
Huh, sure. They had tribal law, but it had never been codified, and there were nomads wandering in from Central Asia. Everybody comes out of Central Asia. Sure. We bring you the good news and a law code.
Well, laws are important.
Laws are very important, absolutely. Although, if I recall what little I do know about Cyril and Methodius, they didn't always enjoy the full-throated support of some people in a longer Christianized areas.
Yes. There was a group of Germanic missionaries who were trying to be in the same area who tended to have issues with them because the reason why they made the whole script was so that they could then translate the gospel and liturgical books into the actual language of the people, which they also held Mass in the language of the people.
And the other guys were insistent that Mass should only be in Latin?
Yes.
Huh. Jerks who insist that the Mass should only be in Latin. It's a good thing we don't have any problems with that today.
Sure. So, at one point...
That was uncharitable. I apologize.
Yes. Well, actually, at multiple points, they were called back to Rome. The first time they were called back to Rome happened to be about the time when the younger brother passed away. So he died in Rome.
That's a good place to die.
Hey.
But the other one got called back and went back and then called back multiple times under, questions about how, official and correct his ways were. Usually, almost every time, within either automatically or within a couple of years, he was in the clear. For example, Pope John VIII went and questioned him about the Mass being in the native language and actually sanctioned the liturgy he was using, but stated that you have to read the gospel in Latin and then the native language.
Sure.
So that way, at least everyone got the gospel in Latin as well.
But, we see this pattern of accusation is made, they appeal to Rome, Rome vindicates him. He goes back into the field.
Yes, which is why they're known as the Apostles to the Slavs. Pope St. John Paul II declared them co-patron saints for all of Europe. And in the East, they're given the title equal to the Apostles. Which,
isn't everyone?
Yeah. I have the feeling that like, they make it as simply, like, that apostle that gets mentioned once and we know nothing about? This guy was at least as good as that. Because there are tons of people who are equal to the apostles. They're like the Shemp of the Three Stooges. But in this case...
I am confident that when we get to heaven, Simon the Zealot is going to have some really good stories.
Yes. And in this case, they did earn it, because not only did they, go to all these different people, but they kind of started the way that things have been done in Eastern rites of, European origin since then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, given that they were meeting so much opposition from people who were insistent that you have to do things exactly the same way everyone else does. Yeah. And yet, they were always appealing back to Rome, showing that within the church, there is diversity within her unity.
It kind of reminds me of the story of Saint Ignatius when he was coming up with the spiritual exercises, and that there were always people that were looking at what he was doing, going, I don't know if that's all right. And he would end up going to the Inquisitor, and the Inquisitor would say, well, tell me about what you got going on. And he'd go and he'd tell me, he'd be like, no, it's fine. And eventually it got so persistent to the point that the Inquisitor would actually be saying, look, will you please just stop bugging me? I already told you you're good.
Stop wasting my time! You're not a heretic!
I didn't call for you this time.
Listen, I'm just here preemptively. There's a letter behind me accusing me of things. Or, halfway between Cyril and Methodius and then Ignatius, you've got both the Franciscans and the Dominicans. The church is in desperate need of renewal, so these new mendicant orders arise, and yet lots of people in the church, the people who were the problems beforehand,
Yeah, I'm not sure it's kosher.
are throwing a lot of shade on being a mendicant. Sure.
You went around begging people?
Even though they give us some of our greatest saints.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Sure.
Anyway, even though throughout much of the world you'd be like, shouldn't you be talking about the Saint Valentines? The one from Rome who was then martyred, or the one from the other city who was then martyred, or that other Valentine who was also then martyred.
Who's from a relatively nearby city.
Yeah. Today is actually two very important saints. In fact, they're so important that multiple popes have written encyclicals about them.
Well, again, because Cyril and Methodius represent that great unity of the church. They were working with Eastern peoples. They faced some resistance, but they were always loyal to the magisterium, to the true teaching authority of the See of Peter. It's a great lesson for us even to this day.
Yeah.
And no offense at all is meant to the many Saints Valentine. But
we know so little about you.
We know so little about you, and the Valentine part of this day has been completely commercialized, as Nate pointed out at the top. Cyril and Methodius?
There's no commercialization.
None.
You can go through
I don't
all
even-
those
I don't
stores
even-
and
I
be
don't-
like, I would need a card for this. They'll be like, a what?
I don't even know where you would start with that one. It's kind of it's even worse than the John the Baptist Christmas card. I mean, where do you even start
there's at least
here?
a market. No. So subscribe to the Popish plot, because we'll soon be opening our Etsy store with our exclusive line of Cyril and Methodius greeting cards.
No.
No.
Just will run banner across saying not actually.
No. Although when I was in high school and I was supposed to be taking French off of my CD that had French in Russian,
Oui.
I largely did Russian because I was better at
Niet!
the westernized version of Russian than my French lessons. But I can't actually read Cyrillic that's not done in a westernized font.
Well, I can't read English that is written in like black letter. It's very difficult. So, anything else about Saints Cyril and Methodius, co-patrons of Europe?
One was the archbishop of essentially every area that he was in charge of.
Swank.
I already mentioned there's multiple popes things on it. Pope Leo the 13th wrote one on it, as did Saint Pope John Paul II.
Nice.
And when I say it's about them, if you scan through it, it's basically, here's the entire life and importance of this it's not like they mention them in a footnote in this thing. And I'll have links below with the official Latin title for what these works were, because, I'm not going to say them. No one will be able to understand what I'm saying.
Okay, no, John Paul, it makes perfect sense, because he's in...
He's Polish.
He's in the same region.
They were from.
But Leo the 13th, that's super impressive, because that guy was as Italian gets.
Well, he went and made it on the official calendar, and I think he actually adjusted the day, because for a while it was July 5th, and then it was July 7th, and then it was February.
The calendar occasionally needs adjusting.
Well, there's two different saints, so
Yes.
I don't know why no one split the difference, but that would make their day always in the middle of Lent. So
Which is no fun.
No.
Generally, the church tries to avoid that. There's a few big feasts, and except for that, most of Lent is no fun at all. So, saints, I know that down in Detroit, there's a Cyril and Methodius. We should go on a pilgrimage.
Yes. When I was researching them, I had to click through to be like, no, not the church.
Not the church,
I want to know
the
about the
saints.
people.
Sure.
That'd be fun, though.
So, give this episode a like, subscribe to our channel, ring the church bell to be notified when the next brilliant plot is uploaded.
And until next time.
What should people comment about? Your favorite unlikely source of church unity?
Yeah.
Or which of the many Saint Valentine is your favorite?
Yes.
I'm going to go with that one guy.
I love that guy.
The one guy who did the one thing
He was
at that
martyred.
one time, and he was martyred.
the guy in the place with the thing.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Around the 300-ish.
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of persecution back then.
And remember, Mike is praying to St. Jude for you to go and hit that subscribe button. So if you haven't already, Don't let Mike down.
Oh, don't worry. He's got our back.
Oh, I'm sure he does. But I'm just saying, this is their chance to be part of a greater work of God. And until next time, remember to live your faith.
Love your faith.
Share that love.
I was slightly surprised you didn't say don't make St. Jude sad.
Again, his name isn't Jude. He'll be fine.
Don't make St. Judas sad.
Hey, Judas.